Hey there, it's Detangler with your Daily Detangler on tackling customer challenges. Actually, customer challenges are pretty easy. Just have to remember back to first and second grade when they taught you to identify a problem, explore the information and create ideas, select the best idea, build it, and evaluate the results. It's that simple. That's all you have to do. That's all we have to do, right? In order to drive go to customer. I know there's a need to think about things simply, but I think this is a bit oversimplified, especially with the challenges that IQVIA is facing as they're trying to move from go to market to go to customer. So let's talk about that. What's working on the team to tackle customer problems and challenges? Well, first of all, we're categorizing these challenges. I'll show you what I'm seeing there. We're also chunking out and scoping these challenges, and we're simplifying these challenges into something that we can action and something we can create value around. So what do I mean by categorizing? Well, to me, there are a lot of different types of problems. The easiest problem is no problem at all, status quo. This type of status quo problem is, hey, this challenge exists. We're having a lot of problems. We all know these problems exist. There's not really much we can do about it. Let's focus on what we can control and let's just, live with it. And that status quo is really difficult to overcome because everybody knows that there's a problem, but yet it's everybody else's fault or challenge. Then there's basic problems. Those are simple everyday problems such as, hey, we're out of coffee. Uh, those types of challenges exist in sales and marketing, like somebody's late to a meeting or somebody's not showing up for something. Complicated problems, well, that's now getting into the realm of it depends. And complicated problems are interesting because there are actually ways to solve them. It just requires a couple of people to work through it and put in some dedicated effort in the span of time that's probably longer than 15, 20 minutes. Those complicated problems exist in sales and marketing, and they can include things like how do we produce more stuff in a less amount of time? That's complicated. Or how do we balance a sales kickoff with the other responsibilities or asks that we have? That's complicated too. Those first three levels, status quo, basic, and complicated, we're not necessarily engaged in. However, our clients are. It's really their world that they live in. Where we spend all our time as a team is in complex and wicked problems. Wicked problems are actually a thing. You can search wicked problems and I encourage you to do so. The interesting thing about wicked problems is wicked problems are actually really difficult to solve. In fact, some would say they're not really solvable. Something like let's drive more revenue. That's a wicked problem. We're always going to need more revenue. It's never really ever done. And the definition of getting more revenue really depends on how that's framed out. And when you look at wicked problems, that's the space that we deal in, especially as we go to help our customers go to customer. The implication about tackling complex and wicked problems is our customers don't know how to explain these things. They don't have the words. Maybe they've tried and failed. There's a lot of status quo people that say, that's not your job, or that's not something that you can tackle, or let's just do it this way, and they jump to the answer. Wicked problems are also risky because depending on how the problem's framed out, the more and more people are going to need to get involved, and that requires a lot of, you guessed it, orchestration. So thinking through the types of problems that we're tackling and staying framed in on or locked in on the fact that we're tackling something complex and wicked is also helpful. There are patterns that exist that we work backwards from. Another thing that's working for us is driving. And by that I mean keeping up the momentum. Taking small incremental steps over time and keeping up the consistent pressure, if you will, or the consistent expectation of ongoing outputs or ongoing engagement. Any break in that ongoing consistent application of effort by us or ongoing break in ongoing engagement can actually slow us down, and we could lose the thread or we could lose the momentum. So it's important, and I think what's working for the team is, short builds, short bursts, incremental, even anything is better than nothing approach to creating something that somebody else can react to. It's in those types of outputs that we can triangulate. And yes, it's somewhat of quote unquote work to keep up with videos or keep up with different PowerPoints or consume more information. And we could get into a lot of analysis, but flipping that into something here, let's react to that, let's react to this, that allows us to make incremental progress and also tackle wicked problems one bite at a time or one step at a time. And it's in the doing that we'll figure things out, because that doing, that application provides a filter and a lens that drives the next thing that I think we do well or try to do well, which is simplifying. Because customers are immersed in status quo and also want to jump to the idea of, hey, this is something basic, we already know the answer. And then we come and we're trying to tackle complex challenges, which has a lot of variability, consistent and ongoing complexity, and then wicked problems, which are really almost impossible to solve because it depends on so many different variables. We engage in simplifying. So an example of this is the AirPods from Apple. This was really interesting because the story on the AirPods is they jettisoned the 3.5 millimeter plug, if you remember, the headphone jack. They got rid of the headphone jack, but then introduced these AirPods. The AirPods work on technology and software that makes it easier to actually just stay connected all the time. They had so much design into the AirPods that it's actually easier and more effortless to use the AirPods than to plug in a cord. So they burned the ships and got rid of the plug, and everybody uses AirPods, not because they're trying to sell more money, sell more. I'm sure that's helpful, but it's because they're trying to simplify the experience. So you think these AirPods are easy, but when you apply the orchestration or the use of the AirPods, the blowback and the change management of the AirPods, the information required across the engineering team, the blend of hardware and software, the fact that there's no wires, and how the pairing needs to work, and not just leaning on existing technologies like Bluetooth, but to make incremental improvements so that the experience is better. Obviously, there's a lot of technology in these AirPods, but their design is simple. And there was a lot of work and a lot of process that went into simplifying these AirPods so they would consistently work. I don't know how many years it took to build those AirPods, but they were so comfortable and so confident in their ability, their process, and their people, and their focus on the customer and the information that was required to exchange, that they basically believed that these were superior and had higher quality, so they had no problem getting rid of the 3.5 millimeter plug. And look at how many people use AirPods now because they're so easy to use. So that's an example of simplification, but they had to do the work, and they had to engage, and they had to chunk, and they had to think through what it means from the customer's lens, not just their departments, for example, or their team members. So what does this all relate to me is our principle, it's the experience stupid. By that I mean, as we connect the dots, as we simplify, thinking through, doing the hard work to figure out what the AirPod is, understanding that it's going to take multiple bite-sized iterations and also consistent effort over time. And I think we see where that happens. And also we probably see when it doesn't happen. So how do we engage and re-energize around that? Because we're tackling complex and wicked problems. And so what does this have to do with our team? And what does this have to do with IQVIA and our clients? Well, it has a lot to do with the expectations that we're setting, and also our presence, our engaged presence, and pulling the rope with them. Because the work that we do is tackling something complex and wicked, it's easy for our customers to feel like they're on a limb. The consistent work that we do can help them actually feel like we're pulling the rope with them, and that we're actually changing the direction of the work, and we're changing the direction of the company by starting small and making those incremental steps. So if you think about this as tug of war, and you have a mental picture of 10,000 people on the other end of our 8 people or 10 people or 15 people involved in the core team of the routes to value and account value mapping program, 20 people versus 10,000 or 20,000, how do you change that inertia of the 20,000 people moving in one direction? It's little tugs, consistent tugs, and consistent effort over time to change that direction of the Titanic. And that's what tackling customer challenges looks like as we engage as a team. So I wanted to share that with you, a little reminder that the big changes come from doing the little things. And I look forward to the next one. If you have anything that you're tangled on, reach out, and I'll see you on the next Daily Detangler. Take care.